Coral reefs are some of the most biodiverse ecosystems on the planet. These high levels of biodiversity are in part facilitated by the complex structure of the coral, which provides organisms with a shelter from environmental stresses and predators, as well as contributing essential nutrients to marine food webs. However, in recent years, declines in coral cover and complexity have been observed worldwide as a result of overfishing, climate change and coastal development. Rugosity is the measure of the architectural complexity of a coral reef. Reefs with higher rugosity are more complex and have higher habitat heterogeneity. Our study aimed to investigate the effect of coral reef rugosity on reef fish diversity in the Bahamas, in order to assess how continued coral reef loss could affect reef fish diversity in the future. The site for our study was the reef at the Fourth Hole Beach on the island of Eleuthera in the Bahamas. In total, we sampled rugosity and fish diversity at 16 independent sample sites. We measured rugosity by laying a rugosity chain along a linear transect, ensuring it was tucked in as close to the surface of the reef as possible. The distance of the chain from tip to tip as it followed the surface of the reef was then measured, and then the chain was straightened out and the fully extended length of the chain was also measured. The extended chain length was then divided by the reef surface area length to give a reef rugosity value for each sample site. The larger the value, the more rugose the reef. We recorded fish abundance and fish species richness as parameters of fish biodiversity. An observer swam along each transect and filmed the volume of water 2 meters to the left of the rugosity chain. The videos were then watched back and the number of individual fish and the number of different fish species in each clip were counted. To analyse the data, we carried out regression analysis to investigate whether reef rugosity can predict fish abundance and fish species richness. We found that fish abundance and fish species richness increase as reef rugosity increases. Our results suggest that there is a strong positive association between fish biodiversity and coral reef rugosity, which underpins that maintaining coral reef complexity is important for fish species conservation. Over time, coral reefs exposed to high levels of anthropogenic disturbance such as bottom trawl fishing experience declines in both the number of individual fishes and the number of reef fish species present. This resultant decline in reef fish biodiversity has negative social, economic and ecological follow-up effects. For example, fish declines negatively affect the health and livelihood of coastal communities, reduce ecotourism and lead to declines in other key marine species. Therefore, it is important to preserve high levels of coral complexity to ensure high levels of reef fish diversity. One way to achieve this is to set up protection zones around coral reefs in which fisheries and development activities are banned to prevent destruction of coral and maintain high levels of fish diversity. Alternatively, in areas where corals have been destroyed, rebuilding and increasing coral complexity by constructing complex artificial structures which provide habitat for corals to grow on may be a solution. To conclude, there is higher fish species diversity in more complex reef areas, so conservation emphasis must be on strategies to maintain or artificially replace complex reefs to ensure continued high levels of coral reef ecosystem biodiversity.